All right, let's get it. What's going on, everyone? Bryce Gelman here, ahead of what is going to be an extremely, I'm not going to say frustrating. I'm not going to get to that point yet. A potentially frustrating game between the Knicks and the Detroit Pistons in game 6 of a series that most people predicted to go 5. A lot of people also had 6, and some people who I think aren't as smart had 7. I mean, they're looking pretty good right now. They're looking pretty good. The people who thought this series would go 7, I'm not at that point yet. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Knicks have no chance in this game, that it's definitely going to go 7. I like the Knicks' chances to win tonight. All right, let me just say that. Let me preface the entire argument, the entire live stream right now. I think the Knicks will win tonight. I think if we could see Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart look even close to 100%, the Knicks will bounce back after what happened the other day on Tuesday night, and they will win and close the series out. Pass that on. That's something we can discuss. Another topic for another day. And I've come equipped with a bunch of advanced stats from the series that I'm gonna go through in a little bit. But first, again, just like overarching themes and thoughts for this game. Listen, LCA, Little Caesars Arena, is going to be popping tonight, 100%. It is going to be a lively atmosphere. This is the best Pistons team that they have seen in almost 2 decades. And it's the best chance that they have. Listen, they've had some success lately with the Tigers making the ALDS. The Lions, of course, underperformed relative to their expectations. But this is a big deal for the city of Detroit. And it's something that I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Knicks have no chance because of a potentially raucous crowd at Little Caesars Arena. I'm not saying that right now. But I'm saying the fans will be lively in this game, and it's up to the Knicks to see if they can respond in the right way here, because we know how this Knicks team plays facing adversity. At least we know how some players face adversity as Knicks players. So, I mean, look, since Jalen Brunson came to this Knicks team in 2022, 2023, they made the playoffs. Beat Cleveland and lost to Miami, and then 2024, you know what happened. They beat Philly, and then they lost to Indiana, and then this year they're embroiled in this tough, hard-nosed battle with the Pistons. The Knicks are 6-3 following losses in the Jalen Brunson era. So listen, the odds are in the Knicks' favor tonight. I know that the betting odds right now are, I believe, the last time I checked a few minutes ago, Pistons -1.5. It's just unbelievable with the talent this Knicks team has, that there is, any chance that, throughout any of these games that they wouldn't be favored with the amount of talent they have on paper as compared to this Pistons team, also relative to the expectations both teams had going into the season. The Pistons won 14 games last year. I'm sure you heard it a million times from the TNT broadcast. I'm sure you've heard it from ABC. You've heard it on MSG. It's the first time in NBA history a team has won 3 times the amount of games they won the previous year. This is who the Knicks are facing right now. A team that won 14 games last year. And we're at game 6. And the Pistons are favored into game 6 to get to a game 7. You have around a 5% chance in NBA history to win a series after going down 3-1. If the Pistons win tonight, I like their chances in a game 7. The Knicks need to win this game. They need to respond to the adversity. They need to go out there and set the tone immediately. And I'm going to do something that I haven't done in a very long time. I'm going to put this is my dad, Peter Gelman. Look at that very nice professional photo, Dad. Very nice. He says Towns to get. What does Towns need to do? What does he need to do? He needs to get off early. This is why I don't put your comments up. He needs to get off, guys. Carlton Towns needs to get off. Hopefully he doesn't get off. That would be a disaster, and he might have to go to jail for that. But no, I mean, I get what you're trying to say, Dad. I get it that Carlton Towns needs to get going early. And my whole thing about this, and it's something that I've harped on throughout the course of this season, is that Carlton Towns and the Knicks are a better team when he shoots more than 5 threes. He averaged 4.8, I believe, throughout the course of the season. At one point throughout this, throughout the first month of the season, he was shooting over 50% from 3. Among qualified guys, he was number 1 in the league in 3 points, 3-point percentage. And this series, he's shooting it at 50%. from three. 50%. Why the hell aren't they letting Karl-Anthony Towns shoot 10, 15 threes a game? I don't care how much space he has. It's something that I discussed the other day, I believe yesterday when I did my live stream. Run set plays for him. Run off-ball screens so you can get him open. And listen, if they hedge out too far to defend, or they have to switch, then you have a mismatch in the paint. Then he can take it inside. You understand the type of player that Karl-Anthony Towns is on offense. He can kill you from the outside, but if you hedge out too far, he'll get right past you with this quick feed. The Knicks need to exploit that. They need to use that to their advantage. They have not done that throughout the course of the series besides in Game 3 and Game 4. I, for the life of me, cannot understand why they just don't feed him. Like, we've seen the guy score 60 points in a game. We've seen him dominate on the offensive end. We saw what he did at the end of Game 4, hitting two of the toughest shots you'll ever see in NBA history, considering the stakes. I for the life of me, cannot understand how, and you could tell it from the start. I understand that Cat had 11 points going into the half in Game 5, but you could tell from the start the Knicks were not prioritizing getting Karl-Anthony Towns the ball. They weren't. And he finishes with under 20 points. And I get that that's largely because he didn't play as much because he was in foul trouble half the game. But it doesn't matter. The Knicks are finding excuses on a game-by-game basis to not get Karl-Anthony Towns as involved as he should be involved in this offense. And we saw yet again in a big moment in the middle of the fourth quarter before Jalen Brunson got hurt and had to be yanked from the game. The Knicks going to that ISO ball with Jalen Brunson as the primary guy behind that. And yes, it can work in short spurts. Jalen Brunson could dominate the defense, collapse the defense, sometimes find an open man. But, what we see in the majority of Jalen Brunson's ISO ball possessions is him try to get into the paint, use his footwork, draw a foul, or, throw up a shot that maybe he shouldn't be taking. And yes, he does convert on a lot of different shots, in the isolation, but over a long period of time, it's not sustainable. And I've been crying that out all season long, especially in big moments. You could trust him throughout the course of a 2-minute stretch, the last 2 minutes of a game. If you want to let Jalen Brunson cook, fine, be my guest. But if you want to do that throughout the course of an entire fourth quarter in a must-win game, get lost. Get lost. You have no real plan. If your plan is to give Jalen Brunson the ball and clear out over the course of a 6-7 minute stretch in the fourth quarter of a big game, I can't see that. I cannot physically, with my own two eyes, see Tom Thibodeau have a plan. That's, I guess the right word would be shallow. I guess simple. Just giving the ball to Jalen Brunson, not running any plays, and be like, here, go ahead, do what you do best. It doesn't work over a long period of time. It simply does not work. So I can't see that either. We saw that over a long period of time in the last game in the fourth quarter. I can't see it again tonight. Something that we saw in the last game, and OG Anunoby is averaging about 16 points on only 43% shooting from the field. It's not ideal. He's been much better on the defensive end, as he has been his entire career. But we've seen OG Anunoby, when given enough touches, his ability to put his head down, get into the paint, and squirt will. He developed something that we really hadn't seen him develop in previous years of his career. Well, over an 8-game stretch, he was averaging 26 points per game. An unbelievable efficiency. And in Game 5, he's the one guy who's able to get what he wants on offense. He's got 11 points going into the half. Guess how many shots he takes in the second half. It's something I harped on the other day. But guess how many shots he took? Three. One shot in the fourth quarter. And that one shot being that last, the last 30-second heave that ended up going in. So you got to feed the guys who are playing as well as anyone else on the court. It's that simple. It could be anyone. We saw it in Game 1 with Cam Payne. He had the stroke working from three. They gave him the ball. That worked. They won that game. They won on a 21-0 run. They won the game. Terrific. We saw it in Game 4 with Karl-Anthony Towns at the end of the game. The Knicks gave him the ball instead of Jalen Brunson. Game 3 was a much more solid game offensively. There wasn't any one player who went off, but they did give Karl-Anthony Towns the ball a significant amount in that first quarter, and he got out to a very hot start. My boy Joe is what he says. Jalen goes off tonight. I'd like to hope so. many people out there know that I work remotely for a Detroit radio station, the Valenti Show with Rico. Very objective analysis from Mike Valenti, the main host. And tonight he was saying, and he's not a homer, he's from New York, but tonight he was saying, or today he was saying, the show starts at 2, that he thinks that the Pistons will win this game tonight because he doesn't believe that Jalen Brunson is fully healthy. And of course, the jury's still out on whether or not he's significantly hurt from what we saw with the floorboards coming apart almost in Game 5 at the end of that game. So we'll see. He said, listen, if Brunson comes out and looks 100%, I amend my prediction. But if Brunson looks hurt, Josh Hart might not be at 100% either. We saw how bad a Josh Hart can be, specifically at the end of that series against the Sixers last year. Actually, more against the Pacers, and when he was really hurt, when I believe it was the rib issue or the abdominal issue, where he became almost a non-factor, playing 40-plus minutes a game. The Knicks need Josh Hart to be completely healthy, or else they're screwed. Jack says, come on, bro, let's close this thing out. I'd sell my soul for a good Deuce McBride game. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't at this point? What a disaster he's been. And it's not even like he provides you enough on defensive end to justify playing him big minutes. And Tom Thibodeau tried to get him going last game in Game 5. He played much longer than he's played the entire series. I was almost shocked to see how much he played. He had the worst game score in the Knicks. He was terrible. He was terrible. I mean, how many? And then of course they put him back into the game in that last possession, or the second to last possession, where they needed to get the tip. Of course he misses the first free throw, which made it that much more impossible for the Knicks to win the game. If he makes the free throw, they missed it perfectly. Karl-Anthony Towns was in a perfect position to put that ball right back up and in, and the Knicks would have tied the game and sent it to overtime. I understand, that possibility was extremely unlikely, almost impossible, but that is who Deuce McBride has been throughout the course of this series. Someone you absolutely cannot rely on. And that's supposed to be the Knicks sixth man. It's Mitch and him. Those two guys interchangeably as the sixth man. Mitchell Robinson is undoubtedly the sixth man on this team right now with how well he's played, especially in Game 5. And it was very disappointing to me that the Knicks wasted the best game that they've gotten from Mitchell Robinson since he came back from his injury in March. I saw this stat put out there. I forgot exactly who the great guys with Knicks Film School or Knicks Fan TV, someone put this out there. The Knicks average significantly more turnovers with Mitchell Robinson in the game. And I think that that's due to the fact that they continue to pass him the ball. And he's, for whatever reason, a bailout option when these guys lose their dribbles or they get double teamed by two defenders. I don't know why. Also, he'll catch a rebound, he'll look around, and he's just he's not very secure with the ball, and he'll turn it over. He'll try to get the outlet, and he's not a good passer. He's not a good playmaker. So that is an issue the Knicks face with playing Mitchell Robinson big minutes. But I believe, like the majority of my contemporaries, that the positives of Mitchell Robinson's play drastically outweigh the negatives. And he deserves to play big minutes in this series because of how big of a game changer he is, especially considering the fact that Isaiah Stewart, and I haven't checked my phone. If he's going to be active in this game, please let me know. But Isaiah Stewart's been out. And what has happened while Isaiah Stewart has been out is that Paul Reed, B-Ball Paul, who Knicks fans are obviously very familiar with based on, the amount of amazing minutes he played in the Sixers series last year, he has been the backup center. And he cannot box out, defend Mitchell Robinson to save his freaking life. So Mitch has been able to come in and absolutely dominate Paul Reed and play a good job, defensively against anyone else when he comes in, when Duran's on the floor. And I love me some Karl-Anthony Towns at the 4 and Mitch at the 5, especially considering how small these Pistons are. I mean, either way, Karl-Anthony Towns has had Tobias Harris on him. So it's not like when you put Cat in at the 4 and Mitch at the 5, like Tobias is still going to be guarding him. It's not like you can exploit another mismatch. But what that gives you is Duran's 6'10". He plays a lot bigger than he is, but I believe he's only 6'10". He might only be 6'9". Mitch is 7'1". with a standing reach higher than a lot of players in the NBA, probably 98% of the NBA. He's got an insane vertical. He still has some athleticism. I can't sit here and tell you he's still one of the most athletic guys in the NBA, but Mitchell Robinson could still get up. And he's still a menace on the defensive end. And he's a menace on the offensive boards. The Knicks cannot waste Mitchell Robinson's amazing play. If he comes out really good again, I mean, listen, if they win this game and Mitch looks good again, it will probably be the most hopeful I could possibly be, knock on wood, in a potential series against Boston. Because so many people out there cried to go, Bryce, it doesn't matter if the Knicks went 0-10 against the top teams in the league because Mitchell Robinson wasn't playing. I don't think that he's enough to put the Knicks over any one of those teams, the Thunder, the Cavs, or the Celtics. Cavs are an afterthought. They have to get past the Celtics first. But again, I'm not trying to jump the gun here. That is a story for another day. Hopefully it could be a story for tomorrow if and when the Knicks close out tonight, or if they close out in Game 7. But I've got some advanced stats, like I teased at the start of this live stream. And this is less advanced than it's like these stats slowly get more advanced. But I prefaced earlier my major issue that I have with the Knicks not getting the ball to Karl-Anthony Towns and making him take more threes. I know it's not a large sample size. I went back and previously a couple of weeks ago looked at the regular season numbers. They weren't too good as well. The Knicks are 1-2 in this series when Cat has shot 4. When Cat doesn't shoot 4 or more threes. Again, I understand that's a very small sample size. Karl-Anthony Towns is shooting 50% from 3 in this series. 50%. What's the excuse to not get him 10 to 15 threes a game? I'm not going to sit here and tell you that 15 isn't and 10 isn't a completely exorbitant amount comparative to what we've seen throughout the year. But if Victor Wembanyama was shooting 10 to 15 threes during the regular season for the Spurs, what's Karl-Anthony Towns' excuse? I get it. Wemby is 4 or 5 inches taller than him. He's able to shoot over the large majority of defenders. But one thing that Wemby doesn't have, that Cat has, is the feline quickness. It's those quick feet that he easily could run right by you. With the threat of Karl-Anthony Towns shooting 7, 8, 9, 10 threes in a game, don't you just think that that's going to help his chances to get past his defender, who's going to have to hedge out just a little bit more because of the threat of him shooting? I don't know. I'd like to think so. My boy Joe says Mitch needs to get significant minutes before they get in the bonus. Yeah, 100%. But that would require him being put in at the 5 or 6 minute mark, which I don't think that Tom Thibodeau is going to do in any quarter. Maybe the second quarter. I'm not 100% sure about that. Tom Thibodeau, as we understand, is very stubborn with his minutes. He's going to have to, break out of that trend and that personality trait if the Knicks want to win this game and if he wants to keep his job. So let's talk about the more advanced stats throughout the course of these 5 games of the series. I know at some point, and I discussed this with my friend Joe, who I've been watching these Knicks games with, and shout out to him. I don't think I could be watching with anyone else. I'm too crazy. And Joe is just as crazy as me. But throughout the course of this series, I've mentioned to him and a few other people that the Pistons are really only able to get looks in transition. That their half-court offense simply not versatile, but it's simply not dynamic enough. They have one 3-level scorer. They have one scoring threat in that starting lineup, and that's Cade Cunningham. They have one scoring threat on the roster. I mean, listen, Dennis Schroeder has been playing way above his head. And he's been able to get a lot of looks. He's probably been the Pistons' second best shot creator. I'm not going to go out and tell you that Tobias Harris has been that guy. He hasn't. It's been Schroeder. Seriously. And credit to him. He's been playing extremely well. But the Pistons have not been good in transition, even though it has seemed like that is the one way that they were able to score. The Knicks have done a great job getting back and defending these transition opportunities for the Pistons. The Pistons are in the worst percentile for transition success in every other major transition advanced category in this series. That's a major credit to the Knicks. The Pistons thrive and I think the large majority of the reason why those advanced numbers suck so much is because the Pistons have been trying to push the ball so much in a series that doesn't have a lot of pace. It's like forcing the issue. You turn the ball over a lot. Yeah, you kind of got to go with the game flow. It's just not how the Pistons are going to win this series. The way they're going to win this series is spamming pick and rolls. And to no one's surprise, in that advanced category, they absolutely kill. They're the third best pick and roll team in these playoffs in terms of points per pick. The Knicks are the third worst. And that's another topic. I'm going to focus on the Knicks defense against the Pistons pick and roll. But it's like barbecue chicken. Barbecue chicken. Every time that either Duren or Tobias or Tim Hardaway Jr. comes over and sets an egregious moving screen, the Pistons are able to get downhill, get into the paint, if not score easily with the ball handler, usually Cade Cunningham. They either can get it to the roller or they, for whatever reason, leave because the Knicks are overextended, leave a guy like Asar Thompson or Jalen Duren wide open for the easy alley-oop, near the baseline or near the block. And that is an issue that the Knicks have to figure out because with Karl-Anthony Towns playing as many minutes as he does and defending the center the large majority of the time, we've seen it being exposed against the best teams in the league. We saw it against Boston, especially in that first game with Cat constantly in drop coverage. And throughout the course of the other three games they played against them, and also in the Cavs games, like Cat is one of the worst pick and roll defenders in the league. So I think you could look at the Pistons' success in those advanced stats against the pick and roll as being, listen, you got to give Cade Cunningham some credit there. You also have to look at Tim Hardaway Jr. setting 1 million illegal screens a game. And you also have to account for the fact that Karl-Anthony Towns absolutely freaking sucks defending the pick and roll. He's terrible. Mitchell Robinson, one of the best players in the NBA at defending the pick and roll because of how quick he is to getting out to shooters and of his length. And because of his length, Cat is one of the worst. So that has become an issue. So the Pistons, this is another crazy stat that I obviously just saw. The Pistons have scored on 60% of their pick and rolls. 60%. It's their only way to score. It's like playing NBA 2K and constantly spamming pick and rolls because you can't do anything else. You can't create your own shot with your player. That's where we're at with this Pistons team. That's their entire half-court offense. And it sucks because, Karl-Anthony Towns is almost unplayable. If they're scoring 60% in the pick and roll, what are you supposed to do? You either get the ball to Karl-Anthony Towns every single time on the offensive end and allow him to shoot 10 or more threes, or you just couldn't play him as much because of how bad he is on the defensive end. The negatives almost outweigh the positives if you're not going to let Karl-Anthony Towns shoot 5 or more threes in a game. Again, it is the most befuddling thing in the NBA, and specifically with this Knicks team, this entire year. The best three-point shooter on this Knicks team isn't taking at least 10 threes a game. And I don't care how far the defender is on him. I could not shoot contested threes. We've seen him be able to hit from 30 feet. Shoot the 30-footer. I don't care. And not set a screen for him. Let Karl-Anthony Towns, I know it's a crazy concept. Let him be the pick-and-roll ball handler. It's not that crazy. Send OG Anunoby or Mitchell Robinson up if he's in the game with Karl-Anthony Towns. And Karl-Anthony Towns is a pretty good playmaker. Let him create. Or set a good enough screen so where he can get a wide-open three-point look. Or how about this? Run some design plays for him off ball. How crazy is that concept? To where either you get him a wide-open three-point look or you draw him in an easy mismatch down below where he's able to finish extremely well. It's so frustrating because it's like I didn't need the advanced stats to tell me that. I think you could tell with the naked eye watching each and every one of these games. Like, I know the majority of the people in here do. And if you're not watching all these Knicks playoff games, then what the hell are you doing in this live stream? Let me just say that. But it's like you could very obviously tell that, Cat gets picked apart in the pick and roll. And the Pistons, for whatever reason, have had, we know the reasons. So I can't say for whatever reason. We know there are reasons behind this, but they thrive in the pick and roll. They suck in transition. They suck in post-ups. That's something I'm going to get to in a little. But 60% of the time scoring, 60%. That's astonishing. Astonishing. You want to know how many times the Knicks score in the pick and roll? Wait till you hear this one. 28% of the time. That's a 32% difference between the two teams. It's astonishing. It really is. It's incomprehensible. It's because the Knicks don't even try. They don't spam it like the Pistons do. Karl-Anthony Towns goes out to the perimeter when Jalen Brunson's handling the ball. He doesn't even set a screen. He just stands there. And it's so infuriating to watch because what's the point of setting Cat up there if he's not going to set a screen? Because what he ends up doing is just clogging up the court, decreasing the spacing. Karl-Anthony Towns could be sitting on the wing. Or if Jalen's trying to work, on the strong side, well, obviously he has the ball, it's the strong side. But if he's trying to work on the wing or in the corner, then Cat should be at the wing, at the top of the key, or the other way. He shouldn't be standing right in front of Jalen Brunson. Set the freaking screen. Set the screen and then roll or pop. It's that simple. And the Knicks don't do it. The Knicks don't do it. Up until December 1st, I was looking back on here to try to find some pick and roll stats for Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson. I don't even know where you could find advanced stats. StatMuse, you can use it, but the in-depth stuff, the advanced stuff that you really want, you can never get. But I saw up until mid-December, the best pick and roll combination in the NBA was Cat and Jalen Brunson. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. For the life of me, I cannot understand why A, Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't shoot more threes, and B, why Karl-Anthony Towns is not setting screens and rolling or popping with Jalen Brunson controlling the ball. I understand your trust in Jalen Brunson, especially against a defender like Dennis Schroeder, who hasn't done the worst job against him, or against a defender like Malik Beasley, who's a traffic cone on defense, or against Tim Hardaway Jr., who's not a good defensive player as well. I understand wanting to give him the ball and letting him ISO, but don't you think if you get a bigger player on him, like a Tobias Harris, and then get Malik Beasley or Dennis Schroeder guarding Towns because you have to force a switch because they have to respect Karl-Anthony Towns setting the screen, don't you think that gives you a better chance to score when you're literally converting 28% of your pick and rolls? That is actually pathetic. It's actually pathetic. It's inexcusable. And I can't even begin to fully grasp why that has occurred. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Pistons have done a great job defending it. I haven't seen that. I don't think the Knicks have been effective enough executing the pick and roll, which is a damn shame because earlier on this year, they were one of the best teams in the league, and Cat and Jalen Brunson were amazing at it. The Knicks were amazing at it with Hartenstein being the screener in the pick and roll action. Before Julius Randle's injury, you know who was starting to gain a lot of chemistry together and to look a lot more adept in their combination was Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, who, congratulations to him, is now advancing to the second round of the playoffs after beating the Lakers, who were favored in the series in 5 games. So congratulations to Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, who had a stress-free series and advanced to the second round of the playoffs. And the Knicks, in their own series, are being taken to 6 games, and potentially 7 games, and might lose the series against a much more inferior team in the Pistons as compared to the Lakers. The Knicks are having a harder time against Cade and them than the Pistons had against LeBron, Luka, Austin Reeves, etc. So I'm not trying to sit here and yearn I've talked enough about Julius Randle, talked enough about Dante DiVincenzo. I told you at the time that I could not for the life of me understand the timing of the trade. I believe that it was largely due to the fact that Isaiah Hartenstein left in free agency and the Knicks did not have a center on the roster. But they couldn't have traded someone else to get a center. They still had some picks. I think the McHale trade screwed them, though. I don't know how that impacted the financials and being able to pay Hartenstein. But at this point, wouldn't you rather have Hartenstein than Mikal Bridges and all those picks? Yeah, you would. So I'm not gonna harp on that anymore. I just want to say I was right, and I don't think the Knicks made the right move by trading for Karl-Anthony Towns before they saw what they had with all the Villanova guys and with Julius. But again, they didn't have a center, so they had no choice. Mitch was hurt. You weren't going to trust Ariel Hukporti at that point. Jericho Sims was ass. So hindsight's 2020, I guess. I was right about it at the time, and I'm gonna die on the hill, until the end of time. But whatever. I digress. Congratulations to them. The Knicks, more important. If you're just joining now, I'm Bryce Gelman. I've been previewing, of course, this Game 6, in which the Pistons are favored. Game 6 in a series against the team that won 14 games last year as the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference with one top-level talent. Game freaking 6. And they are favored in said game. So, how did the Knicks win this game? Finally, 31 minutes and 43 seconds into it, I'm finally getting to my keys of the game. But let's get right into it. Number one, it has to happen at some point. Deuce McBride needs to contribute. He needs to give the Knicks something. All right? Something offensively. We saw it last year in the playoffs. I remember it being more specifically against the Sixers. Him hitting that shot in Game 5 to put the Knicks up 96-90, I believe. That you could check me on that score, whatever, if I'm wrong. But before Tyrese Maxey came down the court and hit the 2 threes in a row. I think the end one, the 4-point play. But I remember that. I remember the clutch moments. I remember him playing a lot because the Knicks too desperately needed him. I remember him being inserted into the starting lineup against the Pacers and the entire dynamic of that series changing. He is, far cry away from who he used to be for this Knicks team. He's been terrible since he returned from his injury. He filled into that starting point guard position when Jalen Brunson went down against the Lakers, and he did a pretty good job. And then 3 or 4 games into that, he got hurt as well. And he has not been the same player since. His shot, non-existent. Defensively, he doesn't provide you enough to play him. Playmaking, it's not there. The guy cannot shoot off the dribble. I've been saying this for the longest period of time. He simply cannot. Dribbling to his left, his right, it doesn't matter. Off the ball, it does not matter. He's a catch-and-shoot guy. His high release point allows him to get shots up over smaller defenders. The Knicks need to try to utilize him well in that capacity. But if he's not hitting shots, he's not playable. He's not playable. And my friend here, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name with all due respect. This is the Deuce game. Yeah, it is. 100%. 100%. I'm not going to tell you that he needs to play well for the Knicks to win this game. But if he plays well, it's going to give the Knicks a much better chance to win this game. Okay, that being number one. And this is important. This is in ranking of importance. I think that's the most important thing in this game. I think it is. Number 2, feeding whoever is hot. I talked about it yesterday. I talked about it before on here. OG Anunoby is 5 for 10 from the field. He had 11 points, tied for the most in the first half in game 5. He was the one guy who looked like he was getting whatever he wanted offensively. What did the Knicks do? They gave him the ball. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but enough for him to get 3 shots up in the second half. 3 shots up. After he had the best offensive half he's had all series. They do not give him the ball when he's playing well. And this is a great point here. From, again, I do not know how to pronounce your name, but great comment here. OG's game suffers the most when Knicks go to iso. Absolutely. And not even just iso ball. Just when Jalen Brunson's controlling the ball, only passing to Mikal Bridges, only passing to Josh Hart, only passing to Karl-Anthony Towns. It seems like there are times throughout this series when the Knicks are more comfortable with OG Anunoby being a complete decoy in the corner and being, the defensive star and the defensive anchor than anything else. He averaged 26 points per game over an 8-game stretch. He was the guy who stepped up the most offensively with Jalen Brunson hurt. It wasn't Cat. It was Mikal, to a lesser extent, but it was OG Anunoby. So whether it's OG, whether it's Mikal, whether it's even Josh Hart, especially if it's Karl-Anthony Towns, get them the freaking ball. Get them the ball. There should be no instance throughout the course of this crucial Game 6 in which Jalen Brunson shoots 4 possessions in a row. I can't see that because you know what that meant? He was controlling the ball in all 4 of those possessions. Because how often do you see Jalen Brunson take catch and shoot shots? Something that we saw a lot before Julius Randle's injury last year, Jalen Brunson took a lot more catch and shoot threes. Karl-Anthony Towns is not that guy who's going to handle the ball, draw double teams. Like, they don't double. They don't double cat. It's one-on-one until he gets the basket. And Jalen Duren, or whomever is in the paint guarding Josh Hart, can just shift right over and defend the paint with Karl-Anthony Towns attacking it. So it's like the Knicks have not been dynamic enough on the offensive end. One way they could be dynamic, one way they could keep the defense on their heels by getting the ball to the guys who are playing well offensively. Is that such a crazy concept? Is it really a crazy concept? Let's say in the once in a blue moon scenario that Landry Shamet comes in, is knocking down threes, get him the freaking ball. I don't care if it's Landry, get him the ball. They did it in Game 1 with Campaign, and that's a different story because he's bringing the ball up. He already has the ball in his hands, and Campaign, him. He's going to fire way more threes than he should a game, especially when he's making them. There will be plenty of heat checks, and he'll make half of them. That's a different story because he has the ball when he's in the game. A guy like OG Anunoby, if he's shooting well, they don't let OG bring the ball up 5 times a game. Mikal, yes, okay, the ball is in his hands a lot. But these need to be design plays for guys who are playing well. Like, if OG Anunoby is 3 for 4 from 3, and the Pistons call a timeout because of a crazy run that the Knicks are on, you know what Tom Thibodeau should do? You know what he should do in the huddle? Instead of being, okay, Jalen, give the ball to Jalen. Hey, how about this? We're going to run the next 5 plays on offense for OG Anunoby. We are going to force him the ball. No matter if he's doubled, he's tripped, we're going to give him the ball. And whatever happens, happens. We could shift our strategy if he starts getting doubled and turning the ball over. Fine. It's not the be-all, end-all. Get him the ball. Idiot Sixers fans. Where's your team? Cancun. There you go. I respected the chat. Get lost. Number 3 in this game. Besides, number 1, Deuce. Number 2, getting the ball to the hot hand. Number 3. And this is a very important one. Very important one. Is defend the pick and roll better. I just said it. The Pistons are scoring 60% of the time on the pick and roll. 60% of the time. That cannot be the case in this game. The Pistons have no other half-court offense besides spamming pick and rolls. You know what's coming. You literally know what's coming. Do not leave Asar Thompson under the basket wide open. Do not leave Jalen Duren wide open under the basket for the easy lob. I've seen it way too many times in this series. If you got to switch, you got to switch. And you know what? Maybe that's not the worst thing. Because when has Cade Cunningham shown the ability to drive past his defender in this series? He's a guy who largely relies on the post-up game and from getting downhill on the pick and roll or the pick and pop. That's what he does. I'm not disrespecting the athlete that Cade Cunningham is. I'm just saying his game is not straight up isolation ball. I'm going to get right past you. That's not how it works. If he gets the smaller defender on him, yeah, he'll ISO, but he's going to go into the post. And who's the worst team in the post these playoffs? The Pistons. So defend the pick and roll better. It's going to force the Pistons into actions they're not comfortable with. So that's number 3. And I guess a distant number 4 is to play through the energy in the crowd. Jalen Brunson is one of those guys who performs well in hostile environments. We saw it last year against the 76ers. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. He's a guy who performs well in environments like that. He did it in game 3. He did it to a lesser extent in game 4. The boos raining down on him in game 3. He hit clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot in that fourth quarter. He's a guy who rises to the occasion. So play well, play through that. I don't think it really impacts this Knicks team. So hopefully that continues. And the last thing about this is hopefully Jalen and Josh Hart look somewhat healthy. Because as I mentioned, the Detroit radio host Mike Valeni saying that today, if those two guys are not nearly 100%, if they're not 90, even 85%, the Knicks stand no chance in this game. So, you never know Jalen Brunson. He went to the locker room earlier on this series. In the last game, he went to the bench and looked like he was about to, fall over and die. You don't know with him. He could come out, look 100%. Josh Hart the same. Two of the toughest guys in the league. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about this. I think the Knicks are going to win this game objectively. My expert analysis, not talking as a fan, I think they'll win the game. But if they don't, man, I had a discussion with a few of my friends. They kind of flipped out about this. But, I don't think it's crazy to say if the Knicks lose this game. I'm obviously going to be rooting for the Knicks in a game 7. But if they lose, so be it. I'm not going to be as devastated as I was last year when they lost to the Pacers. I'm not going to be as devastated as I was when the Knicks lost in game 6 to the Heat. Because at least those two teams, even Jalen Brunson, notwithstanding with the hand injury that he suffered at the end of game 7 against the Pacers before that, none of that was standing. The Knicks had a better chance to beat whoever was next in each year. I have no hope in the Knicks beating the Celtics if they advance in the series. None. Yeah, I have some. I'm like 2%, 3% if they win this game. But if it goes to 7, 0. They will not beat them. The Celtics would be like minus 600, minus 700 in that series. The level of disrespect that Vegas is going to give the Knicks is going to be insane. Mark my words. All right, that'll do it for today. Let's go Knicks. Listen, I hope that I'm coming on tomorrow and doing a live stream discussing the Knicks win, recapping how they won and starting to shift my eyes and your eyes forward to the Celtics. That's the hope. I really don't want to see a game 7. As I mentioned, I can't get excited about a series win after 7 games. But I'm Bryce Gelman. And let's go Knicks, guys. Hopefully they win. I got nothing else. Peace.